Okay, and hello and welcome. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm doing pretty good. I hope. You see, I was thinking about what I usually say before I start, and because I thought about it, it became difficult to remember. So it messed me up. Let's continue playing Half-Life 2. We're up to episode 1. Which, yeah, I've probably played through like twice, maybe? You see, so I would have played episode 1 when it first came out. And then I probably would have played through episode 1 again when episode 2 came out. Because then I would have continued and played episode 2. Because there would have been a period of time between them. I forget how long there was between the two, but yeah. Anyway. We'll enable the commentary. And we'll continue. These aren't very long, but... Yep, that's fine. We know the drill by now.
Welcome to Half-Life 2, Episode 1. We received a great deal of positive feedback on the commentary track in The Lost Coast, and so we've included the same feature in this episode. To listen to a commentary node, put your crosshair over the floating commentary symbol
I think that
and press
this wasn't released with the anniversary
edition.
This was done a while back.
Put your
I haven't listened
crosshair
to
over
it,
the
so that's fine.
rotating node and press the use key again. Some commentary nodes may take control of the game in order to show something to you. In these cases, simply press your use key again to stop the commentary. With episodic content, we're hoping to release games much more frequently than has been possible with the monolithic development schedules of the past.
Yeah, this is quite a while back, isn't it?
And game customers have been wanting to try this for years. Please let me know what you think after you've had a chance to play this, our latest installment in the ongoing adventures of Gordan Freeman. I can be reached at gayben@valvesoftware.com. Thanks, and have fun.
Oh, man. Oh, well. I was going to play through this anyway.
If you can. You have destroyed so much. What is it exactly that you have created? Can you name even one thing? I thought not.
Previously,
we used an upgrade of the refractor from Half-Life 2 to make the Vortigaunts warp into the intro. The major difference is that this time we are only refracting pixels that come from the Vortigaunts themselves. We placed a large sheet of refractive geometry in front of each Vortigaunt to achieve this effect.
This intro sequence establishes some important initial pieces of Episode 1's story and setting. Our earlier versions of the intro sequence were heavy on graphic effects and relatively light on storytelling. When we showed those early versions to playtesters, they thought it was cool, but rarely had any idea what was supposed to be happening. We went through several iterations, each time simplifying the editing and tightening up the effects. We eventually arrived at a good middle ground between the sort of psychedelic look we were shooting for and basic comprehension of what was actually taking place.
We'll see about that.
okay.
It has to be somewhere around here. Anything Dog? Dog, I think I found something. Drop what you're doing and help me over here. Oh my God! Gordan! I was so worried.
Oops, a bit of clipping there with some widescreen.
Hey, the gravity gun. Give it to him, dog.
Thanks.
There, Gordan. Dog's happy to see you. I can tell. Okay, dog. Go get the monitor set up so we can check in with my dad. He must be worried sick about us. He was so sure I wouldn't find you here. Citadel's really coming apart. I still don't know how we got out of there. The last thing I remember is Breen falling. A huge explosion, and then I heard vortigons. Next thing I knew, Dog was digging me out of the rubble. Oh, it's all so strange. We should... It's my dad. We've been trying to reach him for hours.
I want to listen to these. We'll do something.
Here's that we found you.
Players love Dog.
I have to listen to
We
the
made
voice.
sure that he was the first thing you see when you wake up in episode 1. We also wanted players to get a glimpse of the crippled Citadel. When Dog lifts you out of the rubble, it's one of the few instances
Oh, it
in the
doesn't-
game when we take control of the player's view. This allowed us to ensure the player's view lingered briefly on the Citadel before Dog set them down.
Yeah, it doesn't lower the volume of things surrounding sound effects in this.
The Citadel is supposed to be a building of unprecedented scale. So out of scale with the rest of the world, in fact, that we couldn't render it without our 3D skybox technology. This technology allows us to build the Citadel as a 1/16th scale model off in an unreachable corner of the map, and seamlessly merge it into the scene. We also use this technology to create the illusion of vast spaces and distant horizons.
Since we never take control away from the players, it can be a real pain to get them to notice important environmental events. It's a constant design challenge for us. The Citadel will be erupting at a massive light show that took 10 of us 2 months to orchestrate, and if we're not careful, the player will end up facing the other direction staring at a tire. In this case, to establish that the Citadel is coming apart at the seams, we wanted the player to notice the debris falling off of it. We used a pretty straightforward method here. Alyx explicitly mentions the Citadel while pointing at it. Like most of these solutions, it's not foolproof, but it has a high success rate.
I don't remember whether there's actually other citadels in the world. I know there's other cities like this, but I don't know if they have citadels in them.
This area was redesigned
remember
several
that.
times in order to keep the player in this space while Alyx delivers some exposition. As much as we hated to do it, the final solution was to have Alyx climb out while the player looks for an alternate route. We portray Alyx as more athletic and nimble than Gordan, so players shouldn't get too irritated by the fact that she can get to places they can't. Honestly, we're not especially happy with this crutch, but it's a trade-off we sometimes have to make so that we can get Alyx out of the way of interesting player challenges.
Yeah. I rather like the sort of... I guess it kind of feels like the Vortigaunts are... which I always find funny as a name because I'm pretty sure it's very similar to the name of aliens from Commander King. I kind of like this idea that the Vortigaunts would maybe end up going to like help humanity find their place in the greater universe, like teaching them about all this sort of strange, like, you know, other dimensional walking and all that.
Dad, are you there?
Alyx? Alyx, come in.
Hold on a sec, there's so much interference. Hey, Dog, give me a hand with this. Okay. Little to the right. There we go. Hold it there. We got it. Dad.
Alyx, where are you? Oh, please, God, tell me you're out of the city.
Well, not quite yet.
What?
But listen, Dad, we found him.
You found Gordan? I don't believe it. But listen, you two have to get out of the city. The Citadel could blow at any moment.
There's no question that it will, I'm afraid. Our remote sensors indicate the process is accelerating toward a dark energy flare. Anyone left in the vicinity will be subjected to energetic events whose effects are beyond my powers of speculation. The ravages to cellular material are unimaginable.
Stop!
Dad?
Oh dear, Eli, I'm sorry, but surely there's no need for undue alarm. Alyx is well out of harm's way by now.
Well, actually, we're still at the Citadel.
What? Oh dear, but there's really no time. The core is exceedingly close to collapse. Why, there's no way to get far enough without first... Well, nothing short of a direct intervention in the core could possibly retard the reaction.
You mean going in?
Into the core, yes. But it's far too dangerous to consider. The chamber will be bathed in radiation.
Well, you do have the hazard suit.
Oh,
if we found a
okay.
way into the Citadel, it's possible we could...
Alyx, no!
But Dad!
Izzy, talk some sense into her.
I'm sorry, Eli, but I don't see any other way. It would help us evacuate more citizens.
We can do this, Dad.
Okay, Alyx. Okay, just promise me. Promise me that you won't take a single unnecessary risk.
I promise. I love you.
I love you too, baby. I'll be praying for you.
Don't worry. I'll see you soon. Don't worry. Let's see if we can find a way into the Citadel from somewhere along the rim.
Yeah, hold on. I've got more of these to listen to. Oh.
Dog, a little help, please? Thanks.
Right off the bat, we needed to hammer home some
Pack
story
up and meet us on the far side of
reintroduce
the
the cast of
bridge.
characters, and explain the player's immediate goal. It was a pretty intimidating chunk of non-interactive exposition. We generally approach these scenes by writing way too much, and then through constant playtesting, trimming the scene to more manageable levels. But in this case, even after some heroic pruning, the opening scene still felt too long. We ended up splitting the introductory sequence into 3 scenes, separated by some gravity gun puzzle solving, and then a dramatic walk across a crumbling ledge.
When we designed the Half-Life 2 facial system back in 2000, our goal was to get a natural-looking performance at a moderate distance. Given our real-time polygon and texture budgets, we chose fairly reserved or constrained performances over ever having the actors' faces get into a bad-looking or unnatural expression. For Episode 1, we wanted to extend the character's facial system to support more intense performances with a wider range of facial expressions that would hold up better at close range. These facial improvements included increasing the detail around the eyes and mouth, increasing the number of facial shape targets, think of these as movements of muscle groups, by about 50%, rewriting the rules that control how these shapes blend, and increasing the intensity of many of our existing shapes. In addition, we added support for controlling the amplitude of the facial movement for lip sync animation, which let us dampen or amplify the mouth shapes based on the volume or intensity of the dialogue.
Monitor scenes are especially difficult to make interesting, since they tend to involve literally just talking heads. By interweaving critical expository information, like how dangerous the Citadel has become, with some dramatic character interactions between Alyx, Eli, and Dr. Kleiner, we were able to convert a potential liability into one of the strongest scenes in the game. A great way to illustrate characters' relationships to each other is to have one of the characters in danger and show the other's reactions to it, which is what this scene is all about.
Sometimes we need to keep the player in an area so that we can deliver some critical dialogue or run an important sequence of events. In these cases, we temporarily block the player's path using what we call a gate. These gates generally take the form of some obstacle that can only be removed or opened by some character or event. In this case, the obstacle is a crashed gunship that can only be moved out of the way by Dog. Though the final scene looks pretty straightforward, a lot of care had to be taken to make sure that Dog hit his marks and played his sequences without trampling and damaging the player.
Can he do that? I thought he'd just bump you out of the way. He couldn't deal damage to the player. Oh well. One moment. I'm gonna have to take a quick break. Okay, we're back. Pardon for that. Hello, welcome. Yeah, the dialogue earlier reminds me that I haven't played through Lost Coast, is it called? I should do that as well at some point.
Alyx travels through much of Episode 1 with the player, and consequently passes through a wider variety of lighting conditions than she did in Half-Life 2. This meant that we had to improve the quality of the lighting algorithms used on Alyx to look realistic in any situation, from the eerie hallways of the Citadel to the streets of City 17 at sunset. For this episode, we added a specular lighting term to the shaders used on Alyx, which provides a realistic shiny look to her skin, her leather jacket, and even her teeth. In these new lighting calculations, we chose to specifically emphasize bright highlights caused by illumination from grazing angles. This type of lighting, also referred to as rim lighting, is particularly dramatic when coming from low-angle light sources such as this bright sunset. You'll also note that the rim lighting is further enhanced by our high dynamic range post-processing, which causes the specular highlights to bloom in a striking and dramatic fashion. We have found that the move to an episodic development cycle allows us to take advantage of the fast pace of graphics hardware innovation, by incrementally adding new features, such as Alyx's new lighting techniques, to the source engine with each new episode.
Yes. Then of course they ended up trying to, you know, focus on it, improving the engine a bit too much. Oh well.
This ledge is a really tricky spot for NPCs to navigate. While we wanted Alyx to be able to maneuver dynamically through any complex environment, in certain navigation situations we're faced with a trade-off between flexibility and visual quality. In this particular case, she navigates the ledge with a combination of AI and scripted animations. We've continued to evolve the systems of Half-Life 2 whereby characters move fluidly through dynamic AI and scripted navigation, but ultimately what matters most is how it looks to the player.
Yeah, it looks alright.
Our games are created by design collectives that we call cabals.
Dog!
Hold on.
Dog! Look out! Oh my god, dog! Dog! Dog, are you alright? Oh my god. You scared the hell out of me. Now stay with us. Help us find a way over.
Our games are created by design collectives that we call cabals.
No.
And the idea to have you and Alyx sit in a van and then have Dog toss it across the gorge was first suggested during a cabal meeting.
Dog, what do you think?
Hold on. The conversation's going to continue until a point.
All right, Dog. That's not too helpful. There has to be a way to get across. But how? What about... Dog? Dog, where are you going? Was it something I said? Huh? Dog, what are you... I think Dog needs a few bolts tightened. Look out! Dog, really, that was a little close. What's gotten into you, huh? How exactly is this supposed to help us? What? Wait a minute. Oh no. You're not serious. Are you? Well, Gordon, unless you have a better suggestion, he is a robot. He's done the math. I want you to get out of here as fast as you can. Go find Dad. We'll catch up. Don't worry. All right. I'll miss you too. Now, don't worry about me. I'll see you soon. Get in the passenger side, Gordon.
Our games are created by design collectives that we call cabals. When the idea to have you and Alyx sit in a van and then have Dog toss it across the gorge was first suggested during a cabal meeting, everyone thought it was funny, and then we moved on to more serious solutions for the gorge crossing.
Hurry up, before I
As
lose
the
my
design
nerve.
progressed, though, we kept coming back to the van idea, and eventually everyone agreed that we should give it a try. Even though the idea was kind of outrageous, it satisfied some key goals we had for the scene. Alyx and the player get across the impassable gorge, and Dog is able to play a key role in the mission, while also plausibly getting left behind. There were still some problems to solve, though. Attaching animated models to the van was tricky. Making sure the van didn't kill the player took some thought, and it took a number of tries before we were able to really illuminate Dog's thinking, as he went from testing his idea with chunks of debris to finally presenting the plan to Alyx. Ultimately, we were able to create a scene that solved some tricky game design issues, provided an intimate view of the relationship between Alyx and Dog, and delivered a surprising and visceral entrance to the Citadel.
It's really important to us to create scenes that showcase strong relationships between our characters. The relationship between Alyx and Dog seems to be especially satisfying to players. In the scene leading up to the van toss, we had a bug before the animation was complete,
Okay, Gordon, get
where
in.
Dog's head would shake as he looked back at Alyx. In a happy accident, his head shook right after she asked him, "You did do the math, right?" In playtests, players thought this was intentional and always laughed. Because of that, we worked it into the animation, and it ended up
Get in
being
the
a
passenger
terrific
side,
little
Gordon.
moment between Dog and Alyx.
Okay. Does this thing have airbags?
Brace yourself. Okay, Dog, let's do it. Before I change my... Okay. Careful, hold on. Whoa. Phew. Whew. Good throw, Dog. Now go, boy, go on. You'll be fine, just... Uh-oh. What now? Whoa. Hold on.
Who knew that they introduced bobsledding in the Citadel?
Phew. All right, let's get off before the next ride starts.
Like the fighting sounds. Well. I like what they've done with the place.
To convey a sense of urgency, we originally designed Alyx to nag the player pretty frequently. She'd say things like, "Hurry up and keep moving." Whether or not this created a sense of urgency is debatable, but after about 3 minutes of this, the one thing it definitely did was make the player hate Alyx. This was one of the observations that eventually led us to switch Alyx from generally leading the players to almost always following. Through playtesting, we discovered that players much preferred to set the pace themselves, and that they especially disliked virtually any hint of bossiness from Alyx.
Just from characters following you in general, even back then when it was like, get in the van, come on, get in the van, get in the, you know, get in the passenger side of the van, come on Gordon, go off the edge, and all that stuff. It's just...
God, this place is really coming up hard.
Or Barney telling you to, come on, come on, come on. I know it's like serving the point of like reminding the player what they need to do, but it is annoying. They shouldn't do it too frequently. But maybe they should stop after a little bit.
This is unbelievable. I had no idea. Oh, what a drop. We've got to find a way down to the core. I wish we had a map.
We populate our environments with spots where players can take a break to look out over an expanse of cool scenery. We call these vistas. This particular vista was designed to give anyone familiar with the Citadel interior from Half-Life 2 a good view of what it looks like now that everything's falling apart. The pods that are sliding off their track and into the abyss really sell the idea that the Citadel is half abandoned and in chaos.
In an early version of this map, Alyx led the player through the whole thing. To make Alyx seem less omniscient, we had her access a console here to get her bearings. It exploded, which helped drive home the point that the Citadel was in bad shape, but generally, it was a long pause in the action without a lot of payoff. After we made the high-level decision to have Alyx follow the player, this entire scene became irrelevant, and we happily cut the whole thing.
Oh yeah, the stalkers.
Stalkers. Well, they shouldn't bother us if we leave them alone.
I mean, they are people.
I'll just disable this field. Damn, I can't get this down. Something... It's that stalker. He's holding it from the other side. We don't have time to look for another way around. How are we gonna get through here? Roller mines. They could help us get out of here.
Training is one of the fundamental tenets of our design
Can you
philosophy.
find where those roller mines are going?
Before the player is required
I've
to
got an
utilize
idea
some
how to
new
use
game
my
mechanic, or new weapon, or face a new monster under pressure in a dangerous situation, we always introduce the concept in a relatively calm, but
Bring me a
ideally
roller
still
mine,
entertaining way. This entire scene teaches the player that Alyx can convert roller mines so that they can be used as a friendly weapon. Later, the player is required
Grab
to
one
do
of those
this in
roller
more
mines
pressing
and bring it over to me.
circumstances, but at this point, everything's still pretty calm. In the original design, the player retrieved the roller mine from a dispenser and used it to take out a combine soldier who was holding the field from the other side.
See if you can find a roller mine, Gordon.
Eventually, we scrapped that idea and combined the roller mine training with some stalker exposition that originally occurred in a separate scene.
In a good puzzle, the player is presented with an overall goal, and then faces a number of smaller challenges in pursuit of that goal. In the case of the stalker puzzle, we start with, how do I open the door? From there, we move to, how do I get to the stalker? Then, how do I get to the roller mines? How do I get the roller mine back to Alyx? And finally, how do I use the roller mine to disable the stalker?
Oh, cool. I still have the dual healing missiles. Oh!
Oh, you found one. Dad taught me how to reset the targeting system on these things. A little extra juice in the right spot, and it's on our side. I'll hold it out where I can work on it. There it is. It's a lot more unstable, but it should last long enough to take out those stalkers. Let it go now. It'll do the rest. Okay. We can get through now. Let's go.
Luke?
We wanted to create an atmosphere of urgency in the Citadel, with Alyx and the player focused on getting to the core to stop the impending collapse. Initially, we tried to reflect that urgency through Alyx's behavior and acting. This proved to be unsustainable, however. If the player didn't choose to advance, Alyx eventually ran out of lines or animations and was forced into her very non-urgent idle states. We found that the best approach was for Alyx to have such implicit trust in and sympathy with the player that she's always content to proceed at whatever pace the player chooses. Once we adopted this principle, lines where Alyx sounded impatient or frustrated with the pace of progress quickly stood out and were cut.
I am the doctor.
Soldiers.
What?
We created a new Citadel destruction set of broken Combine panels and prefabs for the interior spaces to help make the Citadel look like it was on the verge of exploding. We also introduced a strong ambient orange color to help sell the fact that the Citadel was in a much different state from the last time the player passed through. The orange atmosphere was justified due to all the fires and smoke inside the Citadel.
I mean, I have a gravity gun.
Well, that was random. Talk about unstable. I really don't think we should hang around.
Who's hanging around?
The primary goal of the first Citadel map is to communicate to players that the Citadel is falling apart. The Vortex was a late addition to the map, and at the time of the Citadel was a very dangerous place.
Holy
We had
crap,
particular
we gotta cross
difficulty
through
fighting
that?
the danger zone here. In early playtests, players felt that the entire bridge was dangerous at all times. Some additional effects
I'll
work
be right
helped let
behind you.
players know where the dangerous areas were. We would have loved to base more gameplay on this Vortex idea, but we just didn't have the time.
I would have made the beams of the bridge like warp slightly towards the portal. You can actually see there's a little bit of wind coming off the edge of the portal, so they are doing something like that. And maybe it would have had it a bit more. There's a lot. Talks a lot more in episode 1 than in the base game.
What went on in here?
Oh, wasn't that a what's it called? Observer pod.
What the hell are those things? Maybe this console has some useful information. Let me see if I can pin down a path to the core.
I can
Green?
still deliver Earth, but not without your help. The portal destination is untenable. Surely you can set the relay elsewhere. There's no way I can survive in that environment.
Thank God, it's just an old recording.
A host body? You must be joking. I can't possibly. Oh, all right.
Let me see
Damn
if
it.
we
That's
can
what it
find
takes. Just hurry. He's right behind me. Oh, shit.
What the hell?
Worm thing.
What the hell was that thing?
I want to listen to the
Whatever
thingies.
that was, it's gone now. Let's get out of here.
We revealed the pod here to let players see it up close. At the same time, we didn't want players to get too good a look at what's inside. An old version of the scene had the pod simply hanging from the ceiling. It would burst open and then charge up your gravity gun, but not do much else. The current scene gives us a much more dramatic reveal of the pod and an opportunity to introduce the mind blasts it's capable of emitting. Though they don't play a large role in episode 1, these guys were a functional requirement of episode 2, which meant we effectively had to ship a piece of that episode early.
We decided this space needed to look unique and appear to have more significance than the rest of the Citadel areas the player had already traveled through, while at the same time feeling as though it was still made with Combine technology. This room introduces a story point that plays a big role in episode 2, so the player has to feel like something important is going on in here. A different fog setting as well as different light styles and configurations helped achieve this. The red lighting is a good contrast to the traditional blue-green colors of the Citadel.
Yeah, the developer commentary mentioned that, like, episode 1 was developed for I don't know how long, but I think episode 2 went for, like, was started at the same time as episode 1. And then went for, like, 2 years or something.
It's important that the player has some empathy for Alyx, rather than seeing her as just a bullet-spitting robot. The brief recovery scene after the pod mind attack reminds the player that Alyx is also affected by events in the world.
Gordan? What's going on in there?
Well...
It's doing something to the gravity gun. It looks like it did in Brain's portal reactor. I'd say there's security device backfire. It'll sure come in handy if it stays that way.
Well... Oh.
The light bridge ball sockets are a clear example of our training approach to new gameplay elements. We train the players with a leading example, confirm they understand the concept, then switch up the problem set and make them use it in a new way. The first bridge shows players the solution, the second one confirms they understand it, and the third,
need to get
knowing they
across.
understand the gameplay mechanic, challenges them in a new way using that mechanism.
Yeah, you have to shoot those into them. Ow! Oh yeah, Alyx has got like a little multi-fire gun now.
Impending destruction is a recurring theme in the Citadel. From story, mood, and visual standpoint, the destruction needed to feel natural rather than entirely scripted upon the player's actions. Not showing the destructive events dynamically makes the player assume the level of damage is static. However, if the events are too obviously triggered by player movement, the destruction feels too scripted. We found the solution was to give players glimpses of things that were happening at the periphery of the player space, as well as in their immediate vicinity, to give the feeling this stuff is happening whether the player is present or not. We wanted to introduce a puzzle where the question was how to get a ball. The puzzle we came up with involved a socket with an object blocking it, so that the player would have to ricochet a ball into place. This sounded simple until we actually tried to implement it. If we made the covering opaque, playtesters didn't realize that there was a socket behind it. When we made it translucent, they often didn't see it was there, and were confused when their shot bounced off. Making it movable was a red herring, making people think that they could actually knock it away. A couple of subtle art changes helped. We added some more prominent shadowing and made the glass panel flash when it was hit with a ball. Some playtesters consistently searched for a position to get a direct shot, which we didn't consider as an alternate solution.
There are some little practical details that take a surprising amount of time and testing to get just right. For instance, it took us many playtests to figure out just how fast Alyx should move. It turns out that her following behavior looks and feels the best when she's moving faster than the player's normal speed, but slower than the player's sprint speed.
Hello, welcome. I mean, if you're slightly faster than the person following you when you're running, then it helps make it feel like they're not like pushing you from behind. Oh, isn't there like slow fields in this or something? All seems straightforward to the player, but being a game developer needs out-of-the-box thinking. Yeah, exactly. Of course. I mean, my perspective is just as being a player, but like I'm sort of I am agreeing with what they're saying. It's just like if I'm being followed by someone in a game, I don't want them right behind me because it feels like you're being pushed along constantly. It's kind of like having them nagging you the whole time. Also, you might want to back up.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
This dropship scene was another case where we had to be clever about drawing the player's attention to something cool that was about to happen, which the player could easily miss if they weren't looking in the right direction. We used a solitary soldier firing at the player to draw their attention to where the dropship climbs into view. Once the player notices the dropship, there's a good chance they'll watch it until the payoff when it crashes.
Seen one dropship crash, seen them all. Oh. Nothing back here. Again, this commentary was done quite a while ago. This is not like the commentary for base game Half-Life 2. I think this was done sometime after the release of episode 2.
Looks like this could be a transport elevator to the core.
Listening to it, I think I have actually listened to it before, but it would have been when I last played it, which would have been a while ago.
This is where some player training pays off. After earlier training players on the use of ball sockets, they get a sort of live fire test here starting the elevator. This is the beginning of the level's puzzle arc, where basic gameplay mechanic is made increasingly more complex by layering other puzzles on it. The first puzzle only requires that the player find a combine ball and put it in the socket.
Like so.
Yeah, we must be on the right track.
We want to go up, don't we?
Here comes more. Heads up. What's wrong with this lift? Can you get it going again?
Those are blocking the way.
Great. Up there!
Does kind of mean that you're always just looking up.
Do what you did last time.
Ball socket challenge, but we're also bridging into some new training, showing the player that stalkers can destroy the combine.
What's going on? Good job. Here we go. Really moving now. I think I see a stop down below. Let's get off there and see where it leads. Look out! Run!
Late in development, we changed the art for these doors so that players understood they were entering the core area. It turned out that having Alyx talk about the area wasn't enough to give playtesters the sense that they'd finally arrived at the core.
Like a Star Wars symbol or something.
This could be it, Gordan. I don't get it. Why are they hanging around here? It looks like they were deliberately trying to blow the reactor. But why? Oh my god. It looks pretty far gone.
That's fine.
I hope Dr. Kleiner was right about this.
He's dealt with hundreds of these things before.
This is another key vista, this time showing the core. It's a visual payoff for the player's success in getting here, and simultaneously, a way to present the player with a view of the next challenge.
Ooh, big orb. Maybe I can pick it up.
The elevator's down in the core entry. Let me see if I can call it back to this level.
Creating a believable, interesting relationship between Gordan and Alyx is made a lot tougher by the fact that Gordan never talks. This elevator scene presented a nice little opportunity to have Alyx express some emotion in a situation where Gordan isn't really in a position to respond.
I kind of wish they didn't go so much into like trying to develop a close relationship between Alyx and Gordan. Yes, kind of at the time it felt rather obligatory. Because, you know, you're just sort of... I don't know.
Core design
Glad I've got a helmet.
Challenge. Generally speaking, if the gameplay in a particular map isn't working, we can simply cut the entire area. This wasn't true of the core, because we knew it was critical to the story. On top of that, designing Citadel gameplay is often a bigger challenge than working out areas in City 17, largely because Citadel levels have a narrow set of gameplay tools, there are less enemy types available, and the player is usually only armed with a gravity gun. Because of this, we had to go through many iterations of the core design. One of the earlier prototypes was a kind of futuristic version of Operation, where players had to use the gravity gun to permanently manipulate rods into slots in the core. That didn't work, partly because playtesters found that their view was obstructed by the rods, which made it frustratingly difficult to manipulate them with any kind of precision. We prototyped, playtested, and abandoned several other designs until we finally arrived at one that was fun, while still being challenging enough to give players the sense that they'd accomplished a significant goal.
Sorry about doing stuff while talking. I don't know if I've got a time limit for this. Oh, right there. Now what? Yeah, that'll stabilize it. I wonder what happens if I put you in there. Yeah.
The difference between skill levels isn't just a matter of damage dealt and received. For instance, in easy mode, we increase the length of time a Combine ball survives before exploding, putting less pressure on the player to get the ball into a socket.
Oh, right. Important science business to do.
Ball tubes are an example of us working within our available tool to create a puzzle around a wrecking loose concept. As a physical navigation puzzle, it's different from what the player has experienced before, and it's challenging while not being a binary succeed or fail situation. There are a number of ways to approach this puzzle. In addition to simply dodging, jumping, or ducking the balls, the player can grab or deflect them from the gravity gun, or pick up the hatch and use it as a shield to block the incoming barrage.
Yes, that's what I'm doing at the moment.
Combine Core was another new space that needed to stand out from the rest of the environment. We wanted the core to look hot and dangerous, but still be distinct from the fires and the cool blues of the rest of the Citadel. The core became the primary light source in this space, and in conjunction with the white set of Combine materials, we created an extreme contrast to the normally dark values of the Citadel metals.
Yeah, it looks neat.
The core sphere was one of the last special effects that we finished. To achieve this effect, the core uses animated textures, flow maps, normal map diffraction and specularity, as well as volumetric particulate matter rendering, which takes advantage of the core being a sphere.
I think I just have to get over there.
The higher contrast white Combine motif of the core sets it apart from the rest of the Citadel and heightens its effectiveness with the visual style of Combine aesthetics. It also helps enhance the perception of heat and radiation in the space.
Hunt. Oh, it's coming through the floor. I'll rescue you, buddy. No, maybe not. Oh, he faded out.
core was a central element of this part of the game, and as much as possible, we would constantly reinforce its importance. Zigzagging through the space in 3 dimensions while navigating a variety of challenges let us present a few different visual and gameplay perspectives on the same space. By letting the player see the core from a bunch of different angles, we were able to give them a real sense of its scale.
There's really no, like, pick-upable items like medkits or energy things around here.
The second ball tube presents a variation of the pattern the player learned in the first ball tube. While the first tube can be crossed slowly, by crouching and maneuvering your way up, the second ratchets up the pace, requiring a quicker, more responsive approach.
Ow. I mean, I would be using a shield if I had one. That went well. Done pretty flawlessly, if I do say so myself. Oh. Well then.
The goal of this life isn't figuring out that you need to put balls in batteries. It's coming to the realization that, by filling all of them, you've denied yourself an exit, and that you have to desocket one, climb on the lift, and then resocket it. Sparks guide the player to the source of the balls, which happens to be the tube they just passed through.
Thank you. That looks better. Also, did it just drain my armor? Maybe I should have stood away from it.
Gordon! You did it!
Yay!
The containment system's back in place. It won't last forever, but at least we've bought a little time. While you were in there, I did some poking around in the control deck. They were trying to start a chain reaction, all right. But destroying the Citadel is just a side effect. Since we took out Brain's reactor, this is the only way they have to send a transmission packet back to wherever they came from. I can't tell what the packet contains, but it's important enough that they're willing to sacrifice the whole Citadel to send it off. We need to get it back to my dad and Dr. Kleiner at the outpost right away. I've been pulling down a copy. Whatever it is, I have a feeling it's bad news for all of us.
How many gigabytes is it?
There's something else. It's Judith. Take a look.
I'm fairly sure I've pinned down the location of the project. It's hard to say how much of it might have survived intact, or whether there's anything remaining that could compromise our work, if it were discovered by the Combine. We'll need to take a close look at it, of course, but I should be able to give a better opinion within a few hours. If the site is where we think it is, then it should be no more than... I'm gonna cut this short. We may have been spotted.
Ah.
Where the hell is she?
She's in serious trouble. We need to get this and the transmission packet to my dad. He'll know what to do with it.
Oh boy.
The packet's done copied. I've got it right here. Now let's get the hell out of here. Uh-oh. I think they felt that. I've secured an exit elevator. It's this way.
Monitor scenes, such as this video transmission from Dr. Mossman, aren't simply pre-rendered video. These scenes actually unfold live in an inaccessible section of the map, while being projected onto the monitor screen. Here's Dr. Mossman in the small Arctic base set. It's not nearly as far away from the Citadel's core control room as it appears to be in a level.
Yeah, it's standard. Get it. Neat trick. Trick? Ah, no, it's trick. I'll take my time.
Something tells me they don't want to read their mail. This lift will take us to a train platform. If we can hitch a ride, it should take us straight out of the city. Hey, the gravity gun's back to me.
Aww.
Well, it was nice while it lasted.
Now I can't punch people and pick them up and all that. Ow. Ow.
Usually, the second step of
Roller mine.
This is the second step in the roller mine train. And true to form, there's the threat.
Bring that over
The
here.
indestructible roller mines endlessly attack the player from created space. The only way to defeat them is to have Alyx control it, which means there's no way the player can miss the point of the train. Players also like to see the AI characters fight each other. So after reminding the player about Alyx's roller mine hacking talent, we let you sick them on a pack of Combine soldiers.
Go!
Coast is clear. This is our train. Let's get in.
Hey.
Come on, let's get in.
Wait, right. They blow up after a bit.
Oh, that was a nice clean getaway.
Versions of the same model.
I don't know what's in this copy we made, but they're not thrilled about us having
The
it.
first one is the
You know,
moving
all
train
things
you see
considered,
arrive at the platform.
we're not
The one you're in right now is a static interior, with lights moving outside of it to give the illusion of motion. The third train is the crash version.
Damn,
It's
the
a tilted,
Combine.
banged up, and totally separate area.
This
from
is
the
what
moving
happens to you if you
The
resist.
transition from moving to crash is disguised by a brief fade to black.
Or if you're just in the wrong place. at the
Alex's
wrong
reaction
time.
to the stalkers went through a number of iterations. Very early versions, Alyx was frightened by the stalkers. That didn't work because it didn't fit with Alex's earlier reactions to stalkers.
Let's
in
see
the
where this
city.
train is headed.
We changed it so that she expressed anger at the stalker's predicament. Early versions of this new
With any
division
luck, we
failed
should be well
because
out of
Alex's
the city.
transitions
It's
were
too
generally
late.
upbeat to blind rage was simply too abrupt.
Thank God we're not on
Through
foot.
rewrites and rigorous testing, we found the right tone for the scene.
Let's hope the
Simmering
worst is
anger
over.
level that was more in tune with the situation.
It looks like you saved our lives again. What's that? Oh my God.
Boy, I'd like if I can see.
Brace yourself.
Go away.
Gordon, help me. Please. Help.
We wanted to catch King part of the disorder. In early tests, players felt that it was too confusing and too hard to navigate. That feedback prompted us to change. By rearranging some of the terrain, we were able to create a banged-up, tilted environment that still offered a relatively unobstructed path to Alyx.
Okay.
Hold up a sec.
This is another multi-purpose scene. First, Alyx
I
is
gotta
visibly
catch my
shaken,
breath.
which once again humanizes her. But she also states the player's goal for the second half of the game.
Okay.
Climb to the surface and get to the train
Well,
station.
this might not be as easy as I thought. We're in the same boat as the other evacuees now. On foot to a train station. Let's head for the surface.
Oh, right. Roof turrets?
I hear turrets.
A gun, mayhap?
Burn 'em!
Brick 'em.
They've been here so long, they're out of bullets.
Oh. Right, okay. Okay. Come with me,
I can't
Paul.
see a thing. I'm blind as a bat without that flashlight on. We need to get through that door. Hey, an air duct. I've
Yeah.
heard stories about you and air ducts. Dr. Kleiner says whenever he locked himself out of his office,
Used to compete to see who could get in fastest without using a key. Oh yeah, there's like... There, the flares. No, I don't think so. Gun, gun. Bitch. Hey. Hey.
Before we armed players with traditional weapons, we wanted to give them a chance to appreciate Alyx's combat abilities. Toward that goal, we created a very specific combat style for the early parts of the journey outside the Citadel. Dark, tense, surrounded by zombies, and either weaponless or starved for ammo. So the players needed to rely on the gravity gun, and more importantly, Alyx. This is where players finally get a weapon. Since the door only opens when the padlock is shot, players can't proceed without finding a pistol. It's effectively a weapon gate. Once players are through the door, we can be sure they've got a pistol.
Originally, the player couldn't operate the power boxes, and would have to wait for Alyx to do it. We thought it'd be entertaining to watch Alyx do some cool thing while you protected her. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. Playtesters were more annoyed than entertained. The other problem was that having Alyx committed to a particular activity while action was still going on in the world tended to quickly expose her most robotic tendencies. She'd either ignore what was going on, or completely stop whatever activity the player was waiting for her to finish. Either way, it was unconvincing and frustrating. What we learned here was that whenever Alyx commits to some action in a dynamic environment, she needs to finish it quickly and move on.
Hey, and you found a gun.
Ooh. No crowbar though. Bad times.
Keep your light on that zombie.
Yeah, right. Anything back here?
The darkness in this area has a few real gameplay benefits. It slows the player down, which most of the time keeps Alyx at your side. Claustrophobia, the close-in combat, and Alyx's constant presence and reliance on the flashlight help enhance the tension and your sense of camaraderie. In the dark, the limited flashlight battery adds an extra layer of resource management to the tactics of combat.
You did. No, you're not. Oh, hey, Wex. You can't wait to get to episode 3 and after that Half-Life 3. I know! Oh, an ad line.
Initially, the player
so excited.
The combination of no weapon and near total darkness forced the player to use the flashlight to direct Alyx's fire. We liked the idea that you could interact with Alyx in a meaningful way, using elements that were already built into the interface. Unfortunately, playtesters didn't like not having a weapon, so we added weapons back in. Luckily, it turned out that, even armed, players tended to still use and enjoy the flashlight
Makes
mechanic.
sense if it was powered by the Citadel. Keep your light on that zombie!
The neat of a section of these underground tunnels actually was just like an antline nest, or becoming an antline nest. Oh, right. These are a thing.
Like Alyx, you're not going to have much fun with episode 1, so Alyx being likable was one of our most crucial design goals. Little moments like the Zombine joke are designed to make Alyx more endearing. Since we like to multitask, it also had the practical purpose of introducing a new monster. The success of the scene relied on a combination of dialogue, voice acting, and animation. Surprisingly, lighting was really important too. Under red light, Alyx's self-deprecating groan looked more like she was sneering at the player for not getting the joke. Changing the lighting to blue and then adjusting the direction of the light so that it changed the shadows on her face fixed the problem.
It's important that monsters get very deliberate introductions, since players are going to interact with them a lot. Generally, we let the player first see a new monster in a safe environment, so they can start thinking about it before they have to fight it.
What the hell is that? A combine zombie. That's like a zombine, right? Zombine, get it? Okay.
And that's got to be the outcome of any joke it tries to make, because, you know...
Crap!
Gordan doesn't
Look
say
out!
anything.
It's got a grenade!
It's kind of weird that they do that when you think the headcrabs maybe have a sense of self-preservation. I don't know. I don't know what goes on in the headcrab's head. Crab. Head.
The soundtrack here was created for the introduction of a new adversary, the Combine Zombie, or Zombine. Discordant guitar tones and bends, and a lo-fi fast beat work in the background of this encounter to create an off-balance and disturbing mood.
Look at that antline shimmy shaking. Good. We'll just wait here for a moment. Yes?
We always try to exploit a feature as much as possible throughout a game. For instance, these flares. They're an exploration reward, they've got a simple, satisfying interaction with the gravity gun, and they're a good tactical alternative to the flashlight. Finally, they're a weapon that will ignite zombies, which in turn become a new light source.
For episode 1, we implemented a scripting component called the response rules system for dynamically managing NPC speech. We wanted to take NPC speech out of the hands of the programmers and let the writers control it. The writers were able to set up a wide range of situationally triggered character responses. For instance, Alyx has different reactions to different enemies, can warn the player of danger, calls for help when she's mobbed, and will ask for light. The combat responses worked out great, but it's especially satisfying when Alyx's comments in some situation mirror the writers really went crazy with this, so be on the lookout for lots of little Easter egg responses to unusual situations.
Poison headcrabs are ideal for ambushes because they startle you but can't actually kill you. Here, after a series of right-hand turns, you round a corner into a dead end. While you're trying to open a box of goodies, you're ambushed by poison headcrabs. Constructing the ambush this way increased the odds that you wouldn't see the crab, but you would hear it just in time to turn around as it leapt at your head.
Oh, the zombie's coming up the door. Yeah. try and close the door again. Come on. Excuse me. Thank you. Oh, right, yeah, you have to shove stuff in the ant
is
line.
unusual because it requires the player to learn a new skill in combat. This is a rare case where training occurs under duress, so Alyx states the problem and helps in the fight without giving away the solution.
Good idea, Gordon. Wow, I wouldn't have thought you could plug up the burrow that way.
You plug it up. Okay. Well, one moment. There we go. Okay. Yeah, you can deal with them. You have unlimited ammo. I don't. Also, you deal more damage to them than me. Stop. Yeah, and I like the detail that the barnacles actually just eat the head crab off. They eat the head crab off, not just the entire zombie. Blech. Well,
you fight alongside Alyx for much of episode 1, so the combat really needed to look varied and exciting. We especially wanted to get her into some kind of convincing physical contact with her enemies. We'd always wanted...
Hold on a moment. Hold on, they're making the double
fight
of you.
alongside Alyx for much of episode 1, so her combat really needed to look varied and exciting. We especially wanted to get her into some kind of convincing physical contact with her enemies. We'd always wanted to do this kind of dynamic character interactions, but getting the NPCs into position for their interactions has a pretty wide-ranging set of problems. So we ended up taking an opportunistic approach for episode 1, where instead of figuring out how to maneuver characters into proximity, the system monitors their positions and fires the appropriate animations whenever it notices that they're correctly aligned. Given how well these interactions worked out between Alyx and zombies, headcrabs and antlines, we're really looking forward to extending this kind of behavior to all of our NPCs.
I don't actually know whether they did it for other characters. I don't remember, certainly. Nothing under there. Oh, a barcode.
Gordan.
But at the moment when you think there'd be cars everywhere, you can't find it all.
We generally design and prototype the basic gameplay in a level before we apply much art to it. Throughout the first several months of playtesting this garage map, the geometry was nothing more than basic shapes and textures. After we finalized most of the gameplay elements, we began to flesh out the visuals for the area. For this level, we left the office and took reference pictures of various garages. From these shots, we pulled out everything we liked and that we thought we could pull off well. We combined these visual highlights into what we call a style guide map, which is a standalone map with no gameplay that we use strictly as visual reference. For this level, we actually made two style guides, one a destroyed garage, the other a After the look was established, we brought the playable
there's
map's
only two
visual
holes.
quality
Okay.
up to the level of the style guide. Often a map's geometry needs to be changed as the art goes
no,
in
there is a
because
thing.
areas that work in the abstract version no longer make sense in a map that now looks like a real place. For instance, the side rooms where two of the cars are hidden were moved several times in order to make them feel more naturally part of the parking garage.
This 3-level parking garage is where the antlion burrow training pays off. Because we've taught the player the burrow blocking mechanic earlier in a less hectic environment, the problem here becomes not what to do with the burrows, but where to find the cars to block them while fighting off a horde of antlions. The burrows themselves went through several iterations. At first, playtesters had a hard time seeing them, and once they'd push a car onto one, they often weren't sure if the hole was actually sealed. We eventually solved both of these problems by adding a particle effect to the burrows. This effect makes them recognizable even at a distance, and its absence is a clear indication that the burrow is blocked.
I don't know if I really noticed the particle effect. Personally, when I played through, as an indication of whether the nest, the burrow was blocked or not. I remember having to like punt the cars around a fair bit, and also punting the cars out of the nests to get them into position where they were blocking the nests. So, I do remember having problems getting the cars into the nest hole. It's not that finicky, but like, I'd always want to get them in as much as possible, because I think they can be knocked around by other ant lions. I think maybe after a bit, they should stop like having this sound effect of them punting the car to try and move it. Like they should do that for like 30 seconds or so and then stop, because it's kind of noisy. You're going to give War for the Overworld Dungeon Keeper 3 another go. I haven't actually played that. I've heard good things about it. I think it's got Richard Ridings in it as the narrator, like in the original Dungeon Keeper. He's got a great voice for a for kind of a devious character. Oop, is this electrified? No.
Ugh. You're lucky you've got that hazard suit. This water's nasty.
Nasty.
Got room for 2 in there?
There was more suits. Alyx, what are you doing? Don't teleport like that. Teleportation is how we got into this mess. There's something in that doorway? Yeah, a bunch of health. I did actually buy Dungeons when it first came out, the first one. I remember it being alright, but I didn't end up completing it. It didn't hold my interest for that long. That was like the first in the series of like Dungeon Keeper spiritual successors.
Episode 1 is our first project to use HDR lighting heavily in dark indoor environments. The interaction between the flashlight and the auto exposure calculations done for HDR presented a real technical challenge. In dark areas where the flashlight was the only source of illumination, we found that we'd often end up with grossly overexposed views. We ended up compensating for this by using a different set of exposure parameters when the flashlight was turned on. In particular, we drastically shrunk the region of the screen examined for exposure calculations, which permitted us to concentrate only on the much smaller area lit by the flashlight.
You looked into Dungeons, but it seems a bit too different. Yeah, it's got its own thing going on. I think it had like RPG elements in it or something. I think Dungeons 1 is not really well regarded. I think like Dungeons 3 is better considered. But I haven't played 2 or 3, so.
I don't believe it. An actual
I think
elevator.
it goes up to 3.
I would have settled for stairs.
It's an emergency. We don't use the elevator.
You've got to be kidding.
In early versions of the episode,
I've worked with
Alyx was
electricity
much
a
more
time or two,
vocal
and
about
I'm
giving the
pretty
player
sure the
hints.
sparking wire must
Our
be
playtest
connected
showed
to
it
a
was
power
much more
supply.
satisfying for the players when Alyx stated a goal and then stepped aside until that goal was accomplished. Because of that feedback, almost all of Alyx's hint lines were cut. Eventually, though, we discovered through more play testing that although players didn't like having Alyx hand them unsolicited hints, they did want to be able to explicitly request help from her. So we added some of the hint dialogue back in, but it's only accessible at the player's request by Plus using Alyx. Unfortunately, we learned these hint lessons late in the development cycle and didn't have time to properly train players for this feature. We plan to integrate the hint-on-demand dialogue more thoroughly in future episodes.
Yeah, I
Let's
do.
check out where that sparking wire leads.
I do like when, if the game presents a puzzle to me and I have someone following me around, that it gives me time to figure out the puzzle myself, and that the that the follower won't just tell you what you're supposed to do. Because it might take me a little bit, but I might want to solve it myself. Actually, like, click on the character to, do they spawn when the light's off? Yeah, I think so. Having me use the character to get a hint from them is a good choice.
This area is the dramatic culmination of all the lightless combat that comes before it. We wanted to create a dynamic fight that lasted several minutes while you waited for the elevator to arrive. The first iteration of this battle was very different from what we eventually shipped. The space was larger, had water in it, and wasn't completely dark. Water is relatively expensive performance-wise, so we cut that in favor of more zombies. We made the level smaller to ensure that the player would see the elevator and recognize the problem that needed to be solved before the fight started. We killed the lights both to enhance tension and to make the scene a final test of the dark fighting skills that the player develops over the course of the episode. Finally, we added a wire running along the ceiling from the elevator to the power box.
Oh, you don't actually follow me if the lights on.
As they familiarize themselves with the area.
I didn't realize that. She doesn't actually follow you if the lights off.
Our art and gameplay standards encourage players to build a visual dictionary that defines how they expect things to work in the Half-Life world. For instance, even though the door to the power box room is metal and would probably have a metal crossbar holding it shut, we barred it with a wooden plank. Because we've been consistent throughout the game, the player should recognize that a wooden plank can be both broken and manipulated with a gravity gun, properties that wouldn't be immediately apparent about a metal bar.
Are you still there?
I kind of want to see what she says if I go a long way away from her in the dark. And Gordan just doesn't say anything.
Light that thing up.
Okay.
We're really happy with the Zombine's grenade behavior. It adds sudden danger spikes to the zombie horde, which force players to quickly prioritize the targets. And since the player can grab a grenade out of the Zombine stand with a gravity gun, these danger spikes can be converted into offensive opportunities. This kind of turnaround skill shot creates some dynamic, satisfying hero moments for the player. Originally, we didn't allow the player to snatch Zombine grenades because we fairly broke the fiction of the gravity gun. If players could grab a Zombine's grenade, why couldn't they grab the Combine soldiers' guns? After playtesting the grenade steal though, fun won out over consistency.
I can understand that. Though at the same time, you know, the grenade's got a light on it, and it's obvious that you're supposed to pick it up, so.
Shot.
Where's this wire? Yeah, you just spawned out of nowhere. So it's up there. Oh, there's a door. You know, I stared at that, but I didn't see what it was.
Hey, I hear the elevator. It's moving again.
Actually, I just glanced over it completely.
Oh, and here comes trouble. Light that thing up. Burn up.
Kick him in the jubilees.
What's taking so long? Shine your light on the It's here. Oh, let's go. Let's get out of here. That was close. Oh my god.
What? Ant
I
light.
hope it's still light out.
This also would have been a good idea, a good opportunity, I think, to add some more
Thank God, it's still day. Let's get out of here.
generic zombie models. But maybe they didn't want to like confuse visuals with
Oh
them.
God, no. No, it's locked. I can't believe this. Hey, up there! Hello? Can you let us out of here? Hello? They can't hear us, I guess.
It's therapeutic.
That's it. See if the crank still works. Come on, Gordon, crank that thing. Great. Okay, let's get to the train yard before the Citadel blows.
I hope to institute a series of useful
Finally,
bulletins
fresh.
in the days ahead.
Oh my
However,
God.
for now we will have to content
Strider's
ourselves
really
with some
tore the hell out of
relatively
this
meager
place.
exposition. The destabilization of the City 17 reactor has had repercussions that were not entirely
I've never been
unexpected.
happier to see Dr.
Although we
Kreiner.
hardly dared speak this hope ahead of time, the destructive pulse forced a damper on the entire network of linked Citadel reactors. Thus, for the time being, I believe that all Combine portals have failed completely, as well as all communications systems based on that technology. In short, the Combine are completely cut off. Combine forces currently stationed on Earth are now isolated units, stranded. However, this is most likely a temporary state of affairs. As we once learned to our dismay, even the relatively tiny fracture at Black Mesa gave our enemies an opening which they were able to force ever wider as they poured through in greater and greater numbers. In addition to the completely xenotheric species, there are many modified post-human allies still remaining on Earth who will be doing their utmost to re-establish lines of communication and supply with the larger forces. Even so, there is greater reason for hope now than at any time in the past decade. We have made, in secret, several technological advances which we will do our best to deploy in advance of the Combine's return. We continue to diligently assemble and train a new generation of scientists and technicians. For what the Combine fear the most is not any tangible human weapon, but our will, our intellect, our ability to respond selectively and rationally to every terror they turn against us. We place our firmest hope in the human spirit, even knowing how easily it may be shattered. We have all seen friends and family crushed by the Combine. Some of our neighbors have allowed themselves to be co-opted and purged of their humanity by the military machine. and those who resisted have met a most terrible fate. Still, I cannot overstate how important it is that we retain our humanity. Only this will allow us to hold together as we must for their inevitable return, and what is certain to be unimaginable retaliation. And, oh yes, if you missed any part of this message, it will loop repeatedly until there is no point in looping it any longer. I apologize for any inadvertent errors or omissions. As you can imagine, we have had scarcely time to record, let alone rehearse. What's that, Eli? Oh, right. This has been Dr. Isaac Kleiner, formerly of Black Mesa, now simply a citizen, like all of you, of Earth. Let me just add to all those who can hear me now, as we struggle out of the shadow of our malefactors, welcome back to the light.
Okay.
Oh, where did I put that calculator?
Inspiring.
This City 17 Vista is an explicit visual reward for surviving the elevator battle. Since early playtesters told us that we weren't communicating just how damaged the city was, this sweeping view of an extremely messed up City 17 serves a practical purpose, as well as being a nice moment of calm between storms. The framing of your first view of the Citadel in this Vista space is very deliberate. We included various leading elements, such as wires and light poles, that all drive the player's eye to the Citadel.
Although I believe there is little need
One thing we try to do when we're integrating storytelling and gameplay, something that's become a hallmark of ours, is to include non-linear bits of data. Things that action-oriented players don't have to sit through, but that are available to players who want to learn more about the background of the story. Kleiner's broadcasts on the public address monitors are a good example of this method. Apart from the strong visual image of Dr. Kleiner replacing his former boss on the giant screens, his speech conveys a lot of dense information about the state of the world and how things have changed due to the events of Half-Life 2. We settled on this particular location for the Kleiner cast as one of the few logical places where players can watch in peace or move on to the next encounter. It's essentially a footnote embedded in the world, which makes this a footnote on a footnote.
Detected one rather unfortunate side effect. It would appear an inevitability that very soon now the Citadel will be consumed.
Half-Life 2 with footnotes.
Later in the level, there's a Combine gunner protected behind some metal plates, just like the ones blocking the player's way here. We placed them here as a training tool to remind players that the gravity gun can grab and detach.
They're looking for something. Probably us.
Repelling soldiers presented a difficult training problem because we found it's tough to focus the player's attention upward. This entire alley was carefully designed to ensure that the player would see the descending soldiers. First, we framed the soldiers with a straight line of buildings. Then we had them run across the rooftops so they were starkly silhouetted against the sky before they dropped down in front of the lightly colored buildings. Finally, we added a distinctive sound to the repelling action so that the players would recognize it later in the game.
From the rooftops.
Why are you getting it to me late? Oh well.
I was hoping we'd get a bit farther before they noticed us again.
Frick! Okay.
Cover me while I reload.
Yeah, like here. This is blocking the hole, but Doesn't feel like it.
Character AI is all about putting on a good show. As we near the end of production, we're still unhappy with the way that Alyx handles herself in combat. The most common thing she did was run backwards while shooting at the enemies. It was fairly realistic, but kind of boring. So we added crouching and aiming at the last minute, and though it didn't really change the combat effectiveness in any functional way, it made it a whole lot more fun to watch. And this is a really good example of how these relatively minor presentation and behavior changes can often have a really major impact on
The post-Half-Life 2 look of City 17 was difficult to nail down, and we went through many issues. We wanted to establish several things, primarily that this was a different part of the same city with a slightly different atmosphere, and that it had been severely changed. This street was a test bed for a lot of our visual design work. First, we built an intact city street and tried to beat up certain buildings, in some cases removing them entirely so that they were starting to be visible and clear. We did an initial lighting test in the game and then took screenshots of various locations. Using Photoshop, we manipulated those screenshots to establish a color scheme. Photoshop lets us completely size, light styles, and color schemes.
You stuck in the ground, you doofus.
Were based on some photo references of the sun filtering through smoke from a forest fire. Some falling ash effects and a closer than usual fog plane helped sell the effect.
Sorry about that. We didn't really hear that. Through what was it? All that was going on. Atmosphere. People in YouTube can pause the recording.
Mine traps are great, but they were sort of hard to justify.
I'll cover the street while you figure this out.
City 17. Even though we couldn't use trip mines a lot, they made sense in this interrupted ambush.
I mean, I guess you could just take it as the Combine soldiers using every tool they have available to them. Can I, like... Oh, okay. Never mind. I was going to say, I can prop things up underneath it to stop it from bending, but... it'll weigh it down.
Nicely done. Let's head upstairs.
Meh. Table. There. Oh. Thank you.
This explosion permanently seals the cafe doors, which has a few benefits. From a design perspective, we found that when we limit the amount of backtracking players can do, it gives them confidence to venture forward. And from a practical standpoint, we can clean up now increased giving players production. It also helps to minimize potential bugs and exploits. Originally, the player didn't get any weapons until the end of this map, so roller mines were the only way to kill the soldiers. As we added more content,
We can't get through here while that sniper's covering the street.
For players to be without a gun for so long. As a result, players get weapons much earlier.
Nice toss, Gordon. That sniper almost took my head off. Let me climb up and take a look at what we're walking into. Uh-oh. They've got the street fortified up ahead. You run point, okay? I'll cover you from up here till you reach the far end. When the coast is clear, I'll catch up. Okay, looks like I can get that ladder down to you. Let me shoot out the latch. I might be a little rusty with this rifle. Ha! Nope, guess I'm not.
One of the primary design goals of Episode 1 was to convey the sense that Alyx and the player are a team. This sniper sequence provides an opportunity for Alyx to offer combat support in a cool new way. It also gives the player a chance to watch zombies get sniped up close and from various angles.
Okay. Wakey wakey. Yeah. Don't shoot me. Get.
Players didn't have any weapons in the original version of this map. That made it a lot more important to remove the boards with a gravity gun so that Alyx could snipe the zombies. Once weapons were added, the sky bridge became less of a straightforward combat event. We added more zombies to increase the challenge, but pulling the boards off is still the most fun way to get through this section.
Oh, hello.
Minor laceration detected.
Okay. Nah, yeah. Oh, right, it's a mounted gun. Yeah.
Oh, crap!
Okay, never mind. They just all died.
Glad that's over. Oh, God. Looks like the reactor's back on track for a meltdown. That transmission's going out after all. Oh! I'd like to find another way around these buildings. But we really don't have time. Okay, let's get in. Come on.
Our AI is inherently unscripted, which means that we have to design spaces that permit our characters to make good choices. The AI is better able to make intelligent decisions when there are alternate routes through a combat space. This hallway started out as a straight-shot corridor with a door at the end for soldiers to enter through, but this design didn't provide the AI with enough choices to make the soldier behavior very interesting. Adding an additional space on the side allowed them to find cover and flank the player, both of which dramatically
I think we just
improved
broke
the
about
entertainment
50
value.
combat. What's that beeping sound? Get away from the doors!
Ow.
The first prototype of Episode 1's door blast effect was here in the Combine Garrison. Being peppered with chunks of wood while soldiers poured into the room through a haze of smoke proved to be an effective dramatic tool. It was also an excellent way to simultaneously ungate the player and flood the area with enemies. It was so unanimously successful in playtest that we ended up adding it in several places throughout the episode.
At this point in the action, we really felt that we needed a combat crescendo. Antline guards make great boss challenges, and we decided to add some Combine forces to the mix because watching AI characters fight each other is always entertaining. This setup had a few other benefits as well. Since players had previously only fought alone against the guards, this was the first time they'd actually witnessed secondhand the effects of a guard headbutt. They'd also see an APC in action, and in case there was any doubt, get definite proof that Combine soldiers and Antline guards don't get along, underscoring the collapse of Combine dominance in City 17.
Now they hadn't only fought against the Antline guards. You'd seen them fight the Combine soldiers in Nova Prospect. Either first hand or through a TV. Ow! Maybe they mean alongside Alyx. Ow. Okay. Yeesh.
Antlion guard arenas have a few specific design requirements. For instance, since the guard is only armed with a melee attack, you can't let the player reach any place that's inaccessible to the guard, such as rooftops and other high perches, that the player could only arrive at after being launched by a guard headbutt. The arenas also need plenty of physics objects for the guard to toss, and at least one unlimited ammo crate, so the player can't run out of ammunition before the guard. For this battle, we also introduced a steady stream of regular antlions to limit the player's ability to constantly circle the enemy guard.
Again, sorry, you couldn't really hear it over the sound of combat. Unlike in the Half-Life 2 commentary they added, they don't lower the volume of the game during the commentary, which is unfortunate. I can listen to it again.
Antlion guard arenas have a few specific design requirements. For instance, since the guard is only armed with a melee attack, we can't let the player reach any place that's inaccessible to the guard, such as rooftops and other high perches, that the player could only arrive at after being launched by a guard headbutt. The arenas also need plenty of physics objects for the guard to toss, and at least one unlimited ammo crate, so that the player can't run out of ammunition before killing the guard. For this battle, we also introduced a steady stream of regular antlions to limit the player's ability to constantly circle the antlion guard.
There we go. Rocket. Oh, hello. You have a rocket. There's a dude up there.
In early versions of this area, there was no side passage off the street, and the gash in the road was created by the gunship that the player later fights in the hospital attic. As development progressed, however, gameplay, story, and performance requirements made this initial design unworkable. The new side passage provided a short break in the combat tension after the boss battle, and also helped us stay within our performance budget.
Pardon me.
Your vent crawling skills seem to be in high demand today, Gordon.
I am the vent master. What was up that other way? Isn't there one where you like go in and then you fall through the floor? Fall through. It says like back so soon. Yeah.
Oh, back so soon?
Exactly. I remember that. Ooh. Well.
After the Antlion Guard fight, playtesters were reporting some combat fatigue. We decided to include an environmental puzzle here to break up the pacing before the subsequent street battle. We originally worried that a densely packed room full of hopper mines, trip mines, and explosive barrels was a little too implausible, but playtesters loved the sudden reveal of the room and then enjoyed navigating it
So this ended up being another case where we accepted a trade-off between fun and maintaining a strictly consistent fiction. At one point, this was the site of a physically simulated elevator puzzle. It was kind of neat, but it caused a lot of problems in playtests. Even though the puzzle mostly obeyed the laws of physics, it wasn't all in line with the way we had trained players to expect elevators to work in our world. We considered adding some earlier training to support it, but quickly abandoned the idea in favor of a redesign that was more immediately understandable while still being fun.
Was it something like you have to weigh the elevator down? Oh, barnacle! Drop me! Thank you. What's over here? Explosions. Hello.
There you are. I thought you might have forgotten about me.
Ow.
Looks like we need to find you a med kit.
I'll just hide in here.
Uh-oh. Here we go again.
It's kind of funny finding the crossbow here. I always sort of assumed it was a, more of a, what's it called? More of a resistance weapon? Maybe they had confiscated it from someone. Oh, plug it in. Oh well. Oh, right, that, yeah.
More of them.
Take your grenade back. Oh, you're friendly. Sorry. Don't look angry at me. In distance, you look like an enemy. Someone said that. Oh, hello.
What are you still doing here? Everyone should clear out of the city.
The Combine's not making it easy. We're trying to get enough people together to force our way through to the train station. People are meeting up in a safe house nearby.
Can you take us there?
You bet. Let's go. This way. I don't think this war's ever gonna end. Hey, it's me. Open the door.
What's the password?
I'm not even gonna tell you to shut up.
Come on in.
Heck of a password.
Previously, certain protein chains important to the process of embryonic development were selectively prevented from forming. This is no longer the case. For those so inclined, now would be an excellent time for procreation. Which is to say, in layman's terms, you should give serious consideration to doing your part for the revival of the species. We must make the most of the time we have, as it is by no means certain how much time we have secured ourselves before the Combine attempt to restore their dominion, as they certainly shall. Since this is, in fact, the first opportunity we have had to speak openly of the baleful influence of the Combine, there is much ground to cover. And in fact, I hope to institute a series of useful bulletins in the days ahead. However, for now we will have to content ourselves with some relatively meager exposition. The destabilization of the City 17 reactor has had repercussions that were not entirely unexpected, although we hardly dared speak this hope ahead of time. The destructive pulse forced a damper on the entire network of linked Citadel reactors. Thus, I believe that all Combine portals
Let's find another way up.
as well as all communications systems based on that
He's shooting!
cut off. Combine forces currently stationed on are now units stranded. However, this is most likely a temporary state of affairs. As we once learned to our dismay, even the relatively tiny fracture at Black Mesa gave our enemies an opening which they were able to force
Gordon!
in greater and greater numbers.
Hello, I'm here.
This space was designed to lure players onto a section of the floor and drops them into a room full of zombies. Players are enticed into the trap by some reward items and a chance to peek in the hole. We like to surprise players, but we never want them to feel like they've been treated unfairly.
I just balanced on top of a zombie's head.
We continue to diligently assemble and train of scientists and it's not human. Our ability to respond selectively we place our firmest hope in the human spirit. How easily it
Oh, hello.
Alyx? I don't believe it.
Hold on. How do you go down that route?
Not exactly sure. All I know is the Vortigots had something to do with it. But what about you?
Doing okay, just going crazy trying to... They found us!
Things are happening. Just a moment.
Barney, like Dr. Kleiner, is one of the characters with the deepest roots in Half-Life 1. His personality is more iconic and retains more of the comic stylization of the first game. This type of character allows us to mix up the mood a little bit, to inject some absurd humor into the otherwise grim scenarios of the Half-Life universe, while characters such as Alyx and Eli Vance have allowed us to explore more realistic dramatic possibilities. We're still very much attached to our roots in satire and black humor.
Barney's big crowbar scene here required a few tricks to pull off. There are actually 3 separate crowbar models in this sequence. First, there's the one stuck in the machine. When Barney grabs that one, we remove it from the world and switch on a second crowbar that's been in Barney's hand the entire time, only invisible. Both of these models are purely decorative, so as soon as Barney makes his tossing motion, we hide the second crowbar and create a third usable crowbar that then bounces to the ground.
Aw, hell, Gordon, were you followed again?
We stole some information from the Citadel on our way out. I don't know what it is yet, but it's important enough that they've been hounding us the whole way here.
Bam!
Well, that puts the pressure on. Look, we gotta get moving. You guys know about the evacuation trains, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we've been planning to make a push on the train station. Now it looks like we're gonna have to cut a path through every chicken ship metro cop who's having second thoughts about defending City 17.
If Gordon and I took a separate route, we could draw the Combine away from you. That'd give you a chance to get the trains filled up before we get there.
Really? Well, if you say so. Now, come here, look over here.
Yeah, I was just thinking it would be an interesting thing if you had some followers who were actually like wearing old Metro Cop gear to show that they'd swapped sides, but maybe that would have been too visually confusing. I mean, Barney's basically a Metro Cop gear, and he's just got his head exposed, so maybe that would be enough.
Okay, across this bridge, over the rooftops, is a safe path to the station. You two head that way. I'll hit the streets and round up everyone who's been waiting. We'll meet you there.
Sounds good. Let's go.
Krober.
Hey, Gordon, before you go, I was getting tired of carrying this around. Listen, I don't have many more of these, so try not to lose this one, okay?
I dream about cheese.
Go on across, Gordon. She's waiting for you. You lucky dog, you.
Don't make it. Don't do that.
See you at the station.
It's a gunship.
Time to Krober. Well, I can't crowbar that. Why did he fall through? Whatever. I like these large physics bridges. They're neat.
Hey, a hospital. Keep an eye out for medical supplies.
You mean like a bag full of chemicals or something?
Whenever possible, I like to foreshadow impending boss battle by introducing the enemy before the actual fight. In this case, you know you're going to be seeing that gunship again pretty soon.
Yeah. Nope. Well,
Instead of letting the gunship AI have its own way here, we forced the ship to crash right into the atom. It's a dramatic payoff for winning the battle, and it gives players an opportunity to examine a gunship up close at their
oops.
Designing this gunship battle is created a dynamic evolving experience, while still keeping the player within a constrained area. Initially, the space appears straightforward and provides plenty of cover. As the environment gets progressively more damaged, combat becomes more challenging. Players are increasingly open to enemy fire, and the path to the rocket train becomes more open now. As the roof breaks apart, however, the gunship also becomes more visible, and therefore easier to hit, keeping things relatively balanced. The lighting in this area was tuned to play off of the HDR tone mapping effects, between the dark inner spaces and the progressively open bright sky.
Damn it. There we go. Yeah, because you hadn't really gotten to see one up close until now.
Wow! I mean, holy. Jesus, Gordon, you're a real terror.
I haven't slept in like
It's dead?
3-4 days.
Maybe you should whack it with a crowbar just in case.
I like how it looks with these like segmented eyes on the side and the shiny look to it and the glow underneath.
Oh, God, not again.
I could have fired a rocket at them. Oh well. I think Alyx might have a line if you hit it after she stops talking, but I'm not sure. Feels like I hit it beforehand and so it interrupted things.
So much for medical supplies. I found a shotgun.
Okay.
The hospital was a completely new interior space that we had to design pretty much from scratch. Like most of City 17's visuals, it was inspired by Eastern European architecture. The surgery lamps and the overall white and yellow color scheme were drawn from photos of a hospital in Chernobyl. The tilework and the high art colors were chosen to give the area the institutional feel of an old European hospital, and the beds were based on some World War II images. In fact, we avoided modern-looking fixtures and furniture altogether in order to differentiate the place from a contemporary hospital.
You know, I was thinking it looked a bit familiar. So some of the assets would look the same as ones from, like, Stalker. I don't know if you've actually gone for a hospital in Stalker. Well, you never really went around, like, the town of the city of Pripyat. The city of Chernobyl. More around Pripyat. So, I don't know. I guess that place would have had a hospital as well, but I don't remember going through one.
We designed this area to be an entertaining showcase for infantry combat. Because of our dynamic layout, this type of battle doesn't really play out the same way twice. Players often like to sit back, watch the show, and then dive into the fray at their own discretion. We also felt it was time to introduce a new combat ability for Alyx, so we gave her a shotgun.
Nice shot!
Not only are shotguns terrific for zombie hunting, their size and ponderous handling capabilities make for some great combat animations.
You like this hospital section? I don't remember this at all. Probably closer to 2 decades since I've played this. Well, why I don't really remember much about it. Ow! Toilets are non-destructible. Think isn't either. Ugh. Man, is that light supposed to be that bright there? There's not even a light on it. There's that light there, but eesh. Oh, I'd like to file a complaint.
The door-banging zombies were supposed to give players a safe glimpse of a threat they'd have to face later in the level. In the original design, players couldn't open the door. The zombies would burst through on their own after the player had done a little exploring. We abandoned that plan when many playtesters exhibited a pretty much single-minded fascination with opening the door as soon as they saw it. We made the door openable, though if players ignore it, the zombies will eventually break it down themselves.
haven't opened it yet. I can hear the door, like, making opening noises.
To make the set of empty corridors look like a hospital, we chose some iconic hospital props that could be used multiple times throughout the level. Then we built the models with details, multiple skins, and vertical and horizontal elements that would be visually interesting in the space.
After you.
You're too kind. Damn.
Oh no! Gordon, are you okay? Oh god, more zombies!
Too much of the same type of uninterrupted gameplay causes fatigue. Through repeated playtests, we learned that by the time players reached this part of the hospital, they were ready for a break from the intense combat. In response to that feedback, we inserted this relatively calm exploration puzzle as a change of pace. It gives players a respite from combat while still presenting them with an interesting challenge.
Yeah, they're fine. Damn it. Oh, right. Get off my barrel! Get back! How am I gonna... Right. I guess that way. Okay. They're just waiting. I wonder if you could, like, throw something across the room and wedge it in the door, and then turn the power off. Probably not.
Sorry about leaving you alone down there, Gordon. I got a bit swamped. I see you did all right without me.
You do this. This guy had a vending machine fall on top of him.
Get back.
Ah, damn it. Yeah, well, there wasn't anything up there.
Here they come. Get through the door.
Ah. Oh, so much for my shotgun.
What kind of hospital is this?
What you're seeing here is a visual representation of a node graph, a set of nodes and all the connections between them. The node graph is used by NPCs to figure out how to move around the world. It's not really a specific set of instructions, but rather a sort of information repository. Among other things, NPCs use the node graph to dynamically chart paths to distant areas, find cover, or scout out firing positions with a clear line of sight to their enemy.
This turret scenario was designed to showcase Alyx's ability to provide cover for players in combat. She always hangs back a little, blasting anything that moves. In the original version, players could knock over lightly protected turrets with a single rocket, fired from the safe end of the corridor. We thought it'd be a nice way for players to feel like they'd pulled one over on the Combine. Unfortunately, playtesters routinely thought that they'd discovered a bug, or, at best, an exploit that had arisen from sloppy design. So in this case, a situation we deliberately created to make the players feel clever actually caused them to think we weren't doing our job very well. As a result of this feedback, we added a force field and additional grating to better protect the turrets.
Yeah, they're actually like behind little walls, so I think they're in little alcoves, so you can't knock them over. No, my door.
Look alive.
Ow. Hello, welcome. Alyx? Hey. Ow, ow, ow. Basically how Ghosts and Goblins was designed. Enemies! Oh, right. Players getting through this part too quickly, harder. Oh. Yeah, okay, I can see that. I haven't played Ghosts and Goblins myself. Well, actually, no, I have, a little bit. I certainly haven't finished it. It is like it. Yeah, I'll just stand there looking at it. Maybe it'll turn off. Oh, right. Okay, they've closed. Quite a bright room. Yeah, the lighting in some of these side rooms is very bright compared to the rest of the game.
At any rate,
The train station.
first, as a matter of great urgency.
Oh boy. They're onto us. Better find Barney and get moving.
Yes, this game uses HDR.
We wanted players to realize that they've been spotted and the Combine are now aware of their arrival at the train station. It sounds like a simple task, but it actually took a lot of thought to draw the player's attention to the various events that communicate this message. First, a train horn sounds, which gives Alyx an opportunity to mention that the station is in sight. Next, the lights go off to grab the player's attention and to make the monitor stand out in the dark. At this point, the player should be looking at one of the monitors, so finally, the Kleiner transmission is interrupted briefly by a Combine advisor. Originally, the advisor appeared on a jumbotron outside, but we were never able to reliably make playtesters look at it. The flashing Combine camera should also provide some indication that trouble is brewing. Though it's not a proper gate, the zombie draped over the exit is designed to slow the player down just long enough for Alyx to finish her lines.
There you are. I wondered if you were gonna make it in time.
Sorry to keep you waiting. The Combine's on our tail. What's the plan?
Originally, Barney
I'm
started
sending
off in this
folks
map
out
in the
in
doorway
groups.
down by the citizens.
Like I said before,
Playtesters
if
tended
you
to
can
wander
keep
around
them
for a
safe
while
and
before
provide
stumbling
cover,
across him.
we might actually stand a
We moved
chance
him
of
up here
reaching
to
the
guarantee
escape
that his scene
trains.
with Alyx would unfold the same way as the He's standing over a dead Metro cop because it's a possible and long-term activity, in case players don't move directly down to him. Nearby reward items also tend to draw players toward him.
Dr. Freeman.
Here we wanted to include something a little different, an escort mission. Most of our gameplay involves constant forward motion, so we wanted to design a situation where players would fight through the same basic area multiple times. This temporary backtracking would create a series of encounters where players had a full tactical awareness of their surroundings. Once again, all of this turned out to be more easily said than done, and this sequence went through a lot of iterations. Originally, the train yard was one big space. This approach had a couple of problems. Since players had a constant, unbroken view of the entire area, it was virtually impossible to maneuver enemies into position for stage combat events, and because they could always see the goal, players didn't get much of a sense that they were leading citizens somewhere the citizens couldn't get to on their own. Ultimately, we broke the environment into two different spaces, a parking lot and a maintenance building. Because neither area can be seen from the other, we're able to repopulate the spaces with new, more deadly combinations of enemies while the player isn't looking.
I don't dream anymore.
It also makes the journey feel lengthier and more significant.
Okay. Think I remember this bit?
Move them out!
Okay.
We wrestled with the problem of plausibly repopulating this area with soldiers between each trip. After several iterations, we decided to have the soldiers jump in through some high windows. This solution has several advantages beyond maintaining incredible fiction. It makes the incoming enemies more immediately visible, and, since the windows are unreachable from the ground, players aren't able to exit through them. Plus, leaping soldiers turn into tumbling ragdolls when shot, which is always entertaining.
Okay, we have to go over there.
Doing good. Well, that wasn't so hard. We should have brought everyone over at once. Go back and get another group. I'll stay here and help you.
Okay.
The next group is ready for you.
Alright, off we go. Guess I could use a rocket launcher. I mean, it works.
We've got you covered. Okay, they're safe. Go for another group.
You prefer shooters where the aiming reticle doesn't expand when you move? That's to... Usually that's to, show that when you're running, you're not as accurate. So, I guess, that's not a thing in Half-Life. Yeah, that works. These hoppers up here. And this explosive barrel. Can't how many times you have to do this.
Fantastic ass kicking, Doc.
Come on.
Combine!
Everyone all right? Yeah, they're fine. Well, they can get down here now. Oh, we have to go up. Okay, never mind. Just jump down. It's not that far.
Keep your heads down. Hurry up, people.
I thought we'd never make it.
Okay, I don't need to follow them all the way to the end, though. There. Body getting carved up by a mad hack or something. Or someone.
Now that's the Gordan Freeman I know.
Take this med kit.
Please, I'm so tired.
Gotta reload.
It's like they don't know how to jump down from me. Bye.
Hurry up, people. Hey, Freeman, get back out there and help.
Oh, it's this dude fighting a manhunt.
Bring another group of citizens, Gordan. Take this med.
Thank you. Bye. Hey, there's actually some metro cops here.
To the trains, people! We'll make sure you get there safe and sound.
My preparations feel a little because they're not advancing to the point where they step on them. Do.
While I reload.
There we go. Excellent. Yeah, we need to keep going.
Gotta reload.
Party's coming with, so I guess we're at the end nearly.
We've got you covered. Thanks, Freeman. Keep your heads down.
Okay, is that everyone? Guess so.
That should keep them off our backs for a while.
Ugh.
You guys coming?
Go on, Barney. They're not after you. Gordan and I will draw their attention while you get the others away from here. We can grab another train once you're clear.
Okay then. Don't take too long about it, yeah?
Here, let's open up this next track.
Yeah, we've got time.
We needed a train station, but we
Bye,
didn't
Barney.
want something that was too
Good
similar
luck.
to the one in Half-Life 2. We decided to give this station a more industrial look to make it a place where trains were repaired and freight was offloaded. We included some Combine elements to help explain why the Strider camp fires through the various strategic barricades required by the game design.
Wonder how Barney goes through the force field. Yeah, whatever. The train protects him, I guess.
I'll get a head start on the
We
next
separate
train.
Alyx from the
No
player
time to
group to
lose.
make the Strider battle a more intimate combat experience. While we generally want Alyx to be useful to the player, bosses tend to require a specific combat style to beat, and we found that it usually doesn't make gameplay sense to keep her around. Plus, boss battles are the player's big hero moments, and having
Shall
too
we?
much help dilutes a sense of individual accomplishment. Alyx more or less sits out all of our boss
You ready?
battles.
Okay. Heading off to bed? Well, thank you very much for joining, Kibitz. I hope you have a good rest. So I'm just going to have another short break, so I'll be back in a moment. Okay, we're back. It's good that they keep Alyx out of the boss fights because you don't like them mucking up your battles. Yeah, yeah, they would just be a hindrance if they were running around and you have to look after them. Because I'm pretty sure Alyx can die if she takes enough damage in a short enough amount of time. And a boss fight would just be a pain. No! Curse you!
For this climactic battle, we created a new AI that makes the Strider a more interesting opponent. It has a snappier cannon attack, can better track the player's movements, and it now has weapons and environment. For instance, cannon fire can shove heavy shipping straight to the player.
This shipping container used to be accessible only after the player destroyed the path. Given the amount of stress during this part of the game, even a simple puzzle, in this case, destroying the path, would be completely missed by the player. In the end, we felt like the arena we had built for the player to fight the Strider was fun enough without this added element, so we
Got some head crab shells in here. Ow. Ow! Head crabs! Who would have thought?
We often use goodies, such as this crate and a scanner battery around the corner, to guide players along a preset route. We want players to hit their marks during a battle without drawing attention to the fact that they're being subtly manipulated down a particular path.
Yeah, I mean, you see what they're doing, but yeah. It's been kind of an established rule for games, at least in like Doom and Wolfenstein 3D. If you don't know where to go, you're usually looking for areas which either have A, enemies, or B, like pickups, because you've probably picked them all up in places where you've already been. Well, certainly a major thing which you had to use in Wolfenstein 3D. Navigating by where you've defeated enemies. It didn't help in Wolfenstein where you'd have large areas where the enemies could all walk towards you. Hello. Welcome, welcome.
Strider will target them until they're destroyed, boosting the period of safe, during which
Can't read that. I guess I could toss this at the Strider. Not really here. Ow. There we go. What do?
playtesting, players were often too afraid of the Strider's weapons to fire rockets. This is part of the problem because rockets are very weak to the Strider. Also, we modified the Strider's AI so that the player launch rockets significantly delayed the Strider. This battle of rooftops, players got good as long as they get their shot off before the Strider.
Okay, dead. Right.
Along with Vistas, positive feedback from Alyx is one of our primary means of rewarding players. In this case, Alyx's excitement over the Strider's destruction adds a sense of closure to the battle, and gives players the satisfaction that someone witnessed and appreciated their heroics.
The train the player rides out of City 17 had two major design goals. It had to visually connect the end of Episode 1 to the beginning of Episode 2, and it also needed to address functional gameplay requirements of the second episode. Using reference material we collected on European train cars from the 1980s, we built a basic version of the train that level designers could test. Once we got the thumbs up from them, we added textures and lots of little details. The result is basically a caboose, combined with rounder, more streamlined elements from a passenger car.
Apart from being a big visual payoff to the episode, there were several story requirements that this ending sequence needed to convey. It had to make it very clear that the Citadel was destroyed, that the Citadel pods had escaped, and it needed to imply that the data transmission beam was streaming out of the ruins. We discovered that Alyx had to be mostly silent during the scene, or else players tended to look at her instead of all the chaos around them.
I guess that's the end of Episode 1, basically.
Fantastic job, Gordon. You're my new hero.
You're just sitting in there.
Quick now, let's get the train moving. Jump on, Gordon. I'm right behind you.
Boop.
Here we go. did it, Gordon? Here we go. We did it, Gordon.
Yes. Yes, we are. We're moving. The speech bubble's coming with us.
Oh my god, the transmission's going out.
I'm sure that's fine. No. There we go, the end of episode 1. How long was that? Yeah, like 3 hours and 20 minutes. Really not that long. I mean, you know, episode 1, it was going to be part of a trilogy. I'm sure they'll get around to finishing at any moment. It's fun. I'd forgotten a lot of it. But yeah, you can feel that the battles and the environments are more interesting, I think, than in base Half-Life 2. It does sort of keep going, and it doesn't have the sort of as larger moments of downtime. But, yeah, a lot of different individual little things which are quite, keep things interesting. I'm surprised the commentary didn't mention that the first big flash there covered a teleport to a new section of track in the level. Have I not played this before? I have. Oh, is it going into episode 2? Oh well. No. Do episode 2 next time. I have played this and episode 2 before. I played them back on release, though I probably haven't played them since release. So it's a good near 2 decades. So yeah. I probably haven't played episode 2 since it came out. Episode 1 I might have played last just before episode 2 came out. Or when episode 2 came out. And, you know, we'll play through that as well with the commentary, but we'll leave that for next time. I also have to remember to do this, Lost Coast, because I haven't done that. I haven't played that myself before at all, so at least I don't think I have. Don't remember. We'll have to see when we get to it. I can't imagine Lost Coast is really that long at all. So, because I don't think it's more of a thing to show off lighting and all that, isn't it? Than actually like a game. So it's just like a big set piece on the coast or something. Lost Coast is really short. Yeah. We might be able to fit that in after episode 2. Or before episode 2. Because I think it takes place after Half-Life 2. Actually, I don't know when it takes place. I don't think it's not actually connected to the storyline at all, is it? Or anything? You'll have to read into it. It's just like a little separate bit. From my understanding, anyway. Anyway, episode 1. Yeah, good. I do remember that bit at the end escorting the citizens. it wasn't difficult, and it kept things interesting, I guess. Escorting citizens or escorting characters and trying to stop them from dying. I didn't try to stop them from dying at all, and it was no problem. But even when nothing went wrong, those things are always a little bit because you're just having to worry about other people during combat, which is, you know, that's always a bit of a problem. But Lost Coast kind of would have fitted into Highway 17 chapter. Right, okay. I guess that makes sense. It's like a lost coast, a lost section of the coastline. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, we'll probably, I guess, do that next time and then continue on to episode 2. But yeah, well, thank you very much for joining. I hope you join me again next time, where we'll continue with Half-Life 2. Episode 2.